think if you don't have that, it's going to be really hard to make your second cafe or your third cafe good.
In terms of business strategy, those are really, really poor numbers. You got to like really love the coffee industry to get into the coffee industry.
Welcome back to the Valor Coffee Podcast, formerly known as Coffee Sometimes Podcast. This week, we cover the blistering topic of scaling your coffee business. Should you do it? Why would you do it? Should you open a roastery? Should you open multiple cafes? What was our story here? Why did we do it? What have we learned along the way? All of these questions answered, and a fair amount of banter back and forth between the three of us, because I think we just missed each other a little bit. You know, I wasn't on the program last week, so it was good to catch up with the boys. If you would like to support the Valor Coffee Podcast and just our company in general, we have a lot of great products on our web store, namely Fellow Opus, Fellow Ode, other stuff like the stuff I'm pulling up on my phone right now, AeroPresses, Fellow Stag, Akaya Pearls, freaking socks, lots of stuff that you can buy on our website. I know for me, when I am buying my guitar strings, because I play guitar, like it's not a big deal, but whenever I buy my guitar strings, I purposely drive to this local guitar shop here in Roswell called Righteous Guitars, shout out, and get my strings there, because while I can't afford a $3,000 guitar there, I can afford to get strings there, and I get them there instead of at Amazon because I want to support that local business. So whenever you are looking for Christmas gifts or holiday gifts this year and you want to buy some coffee gear, pop over to our website or one of our cafes and get one of our grinders. We have some great products that we use in our cafes every day and are trusted. This conical burr grinder, I know it's kind of the Baratza Encore was, I know, the conical burr grinder that I've used for years, but this one's been awesome. It's a huge upgrade from that. Pop over to the website and see what we got. And as always, if you are a first-time listener, we appreciate you joining on. Enjoy the content. And if you like what you hear, if you like what you're watching, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. The algorithm, you know, it's elusive, and we want to get this program out to the world. So if you'll do that, that'll really help us out and help us please the algorithm and everyone else in the world. Thanks for joining in. Let's get to the show.
Hey, welcome back, Ross.
Thank you. Cheers.
How was your Halloween?
It was great. We just moved to a new neighborhood, and it's lit.
You live in a golf community now.
We live in a golf community. We live in the townhomes in front of the golf community, so it ain't like
You're like
that.
the outcasts.
Yeah, it's kind of like Middle Ages. You have like the serfs and the lords.
Right. Yeah.
So you're out front.
I'm totally following that. Yeah.
Like they get sacked first.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of on the front lines.
Yeah. If you own a coffee shop, like you're living in the townhomes in the golf community, and we'll talk about that later. We'll get to that later. But did you guys behave without me? Like, was everything fine? Did a lot of people comment?
Did you listen to the episode?
I did listen, and I commented.
I saw the comment. I was just seeing if it was all for show or if you actually did. What was it about?
It was about under extraction and how to fix it.
Okay.
And I thought you guys did such a great job. You were a lot more serious without me, especially you, Ethan.
Well, I was wearing a suit, so
Oh, yeah, including the suit
I kind of had to,
because it was Halloween.
of course.
Ethan's dad did comment.
Yeah.
Like, finally looking decent, you know?
Yeah, I think he said
Hey, button up.
I think he said very dapper, Ethan, or something like that.
Yeah, and I think Colson commented. In point of the story is we look at the comments, and I think I'm going to start commenting more on my personal.
On your personal videos.
Boring.
No, on these videos.
Just
from my
your
personal.
I see. Nice.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, we like it when we get questions down there.
We're honored.
Q&A. That's what we're talking about. So if you got questions, throw them in the comments.
Hey, speaking of Q&A, I don't know if we want to get to this right now, but we have a special guest next week who goes by the name Will Shirts. Founder?
Whether or not that's his real name,
That's one of the things we'll kind of uncover.
to be seen.
Is his real name?
Is there
Will
like
Shirts.
speculation around the industry on like
We saw some
if that's-
Sprudge articles that were like, is this his
Sprudge
real
gossip column?
Yeah.
They've got a whole column.
It's
Dang,
nasty
okay.
out there.
Jeez.
We're going to have him on the program next week. So if you have any questions for Will or Methodical in general, send them our way.
It'll be a great episode. Will is the darling of the coffee industry, I would say.
I think we're going to try to uncover his dark side, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Press into like, is Will your name?
Yeah.
And what's your dark side?
And who's your least favorite person to work with and why?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it's us, we get it.
Totally.
He's like, it's you guys
It's like
today.
this moment right now.
Yeah. That would be fun.
I'm excited to talk to him. It's been a long time coming.
Dude, is that a new hat? Speaking of our old days small talk,
This is a new hat. I've been eyeing it for a little bit.
it reminds me of Chance the Rapper.
What? Because it's like tall?
No, I think he wears that color
Really?
with his 3 hats.
Did you have it in your Notion app of like
Yeah.
the one that like purchases that you wanted to get to eventually?
Yes, I did. I was able to check that one off.
Does it feel good?
It felt good.
Yeah.
Felt good. It's funny when you want something that's not super expensive and you just don't buy it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I guess if you bought everything you wanted, you wouldn't be in a very good place.
I guess
Right?
you wouldn't have, like anywhere to put all of it.
True.
Because, yeah.
But yeah, one of my biggest struggles is I love to wear black shirts. And
Case in point.
I only had one hat that worked with black shirts, and it was my red Falcons hat. And red isn't my favorite color.
It's bold.
Heck, I would say it's one of my least favorite colors.
It's Ross's favorite color.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
So I just needed something else that would work with black. So as you can tell, I wore my black shirt.
And this is working like
Working.
crazy.
You don't like to mix navy and black?
I don't know. I've done it. I feel like you can do it with maybe a pair of navy pants and a black shirt. But I feel like black
lucky.
shirt, navy hat, you just look like you're just an idiot.
Like, don't
you're nothing.
Don't
You're
leave
nothing.
the house.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
leave. You guys remember being younger and learning about style, like in your formative years? Like I remember being told black and brown makes you frown. Like don't mix those colors. And I was like, lock it in. Never gonna do that, ever.
I kind of remember learning, like don't wear white after Labor Day.
There's that. That's just weird. First off,
Yeah. Well, I don't really stick to it.
If your
rebel.
shirt's tucked in, you got to be wearing a belt.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's not true.
I think it's true.
It's
don't.
not true.
Style's subjective, Riley.
I think it looks a little silly if you aren't wearing a belt.
What
your
about
shirt
with a
tucked in.
suit?
Exactly, even more
Come
silly.
on.
Riley. What about last week?
You're gonna tell me you would wear a suit,
I do most weekends.
Ross, buddy.
It's a tailored look. It's specialty.
It's a tailored
You're
look.
showing off how you don't
It's
need a belt.
bespoke.
The only time you're allowed to do that is if you're wearing suspenders,
Well, if you're wearing
Well, he's
a
always wearing
suit jacket.
suspenders.
just under his shirt.
Do you remember when I wore suspenders in high school?
Yeah,
Like as like a
That was-
hipster thing?
I'm guilty as
You
charged.
did too? Dang, dude. Okay.
some things you look back
With
and
my
you're
Levi
like,
510s.
I deserve to be made fun of for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm glad I was made fun of because I shouldn't have. I'm not advocating for
If you
bullying.
wear suspenders out there, you do you. But
Yeah. It was just the mix of all of it for me. I had this, again, nothing against fedoras. I had a fedora, but I got a big head and it would kind of like be, it wasn't like a fedora, like a Jason Mraz fedora where it's like, fitted. It was more like a back of the head vibe.
I remember some kids calling you Jiminy Crickets.
Oh yeah.
Stuff.
Oh yeah. I got made fun of a lot, but it's fine. Like I don't think it really
I did
affected
too.
me
As-
like
is
at
it-
all. Like
it's-
I'm fine.
It's really funny to go into Dawsonville now and see the type of kids running around who are way more. There's a lot more kids who fit with the trends of the times than there were back then. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because
TikTok.
we were hipsters,
Click,
Yeah.
right? And hipster is different than trendy,
Yeah.
And now everyone's trendy.
Including the hipsters?
I think including the hipsters, but just like in a different way.
Because everything is cool now. You just got to rock your look. Psychedelic, hippie, grunge, punk.
It's like they say
80s.
everything is awesome.
Yeah, I think that is really the pivotal change when that song came out. Everything is
That was like an
awesome.
epoch that like we can look back on.
Everything is cool.
Good movie.
when
You
you're
guys like
part
that
of
movie?
a team.
You ever seen it?
I don't even know what it's from.
From the Lego movie,
Oh,
dude.
Ross.
Okay.
Dude,
It's
Giselle,
from the Lego.
Listen, I'm the guy who doesn't know the movie that people are talking about.
your kids would
You and
love the
Dale.
Lego movie.
Is there conflict?
Yes.
Would Giselle be scared?
No. It's
she-
Legos, dude.
Oh, well, okay.
Is there
She's-
conflict? What movie is there not conflict? Give me one movie where there's not
There are
conflict.
shows without conflict, and Giselle loves them. Well, I guess
Like things where things are going right. It's like
it's like this is a good day, you know, and like we're doing stuff.
All media revolves around the 3-act story, which inevitably has conflict.
Go there,
and that's where
Go
we're
there.
heading today.
and that's the topic of this
The
program.
3-act story of your coffee shop.
It's mostly conflict. Just kidding, guys. We're fine.
We're silly.
Stay loose. Hey, stay loose. Guys, do you guys want to ask me any questions about my big trip?
No.
Oh,
Hey, shall we
man.
move on?
So, okay, you went on a trip recently, yeah? Because I feel
Wow.
like you were kind of gone.
I was
I
gone.
know. I just thought that we didn't run into each other for a few days.
Ships in the night. Yeah, I mean, we are a multi-location business, so we can just get
So-
lost.
Let's see, 8 of my closest friends all moved to Montana at the same time.
That's right.
And one of them, Dale, who used to work here, drove to or needed to drive the trailer with all of his stuff to Montana last week. Now you take over.
I went
storytelling.
with Dale. Way to tee that one up.
Yeah.
Dale, if you're listening,
This is
go to
radio.
bed. Oh, geez. Yeah, we drove.
Because of the time, like the time difference, or
No, it's what people say at the Oscars when they get an award. They're like, "I want to."
If my kids are listening,
if my
go to
kids are
bed.
here,
yeah.
go to
No,
bed.
I think everyone got that. That's good.
Well, you asked the
You're the
clarifying
only one
question.
here listening that watches
so-
the Oscars.
That is true.
I don't watch the Oscars.
Guys, comment
You
below.
used
Okay,
to.
come
Okay,
on.
I've seen the Oscars. I'm sorry. Sue
All right.
me.
Dude, tell your story so we can move
No,
on.
there's nothing to say. I just drove across the country.
You camped every night,
Camped every night.
slept on a nugget couch.
Slept on.
What's a nugget couch?
Dude, you're the one that should know about a nugget couch. It's like 4 kids. It's like a foam multi-pad.
Dude, you have kid too.
My kid is not at nugget couch
Oh,
level.
you can like disassemble it.
Yeah.
And then they can climb on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Rachel just showed this to me.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So like I know.
Yeah, so we took the nugget couch out of the trailer and folded it out in the tent.
So the Ellises have a nugget couch.
Yes. Well, don't say that on air. People are going to find out. They're going to try.
Sorry, that's personal.
I will not say their address. You cannot go take their nugget couch.
Well, everyone knows they live in Montana. So
Dude, tell the
Easy.
story of what happened on the way down or up
Like
or over.
the crazy circumstance.
Yeah.
Well, day 3, we busted day 1 and 2 so we can just cut day 4 of driving. So we've driven a lot. We camp in Wyoming. We wake up. We go see the Devil's Tower, if anyone's familiar.
what's that?
There'll be a picture in the show notes
Did you pray over it?
with an affiliate link. Like,
Devil's
Lord,
Tower.
redeem this
Change this
tower.
guy.
This is the Lord's tower. It's just a giant column coming out of the ground, and it's kind of creepy. It's called the Devil's Tower, but
It's rock?
Yeah.
It's man-made.
yeah. Here, I'll talk and pull up the
Don't
picture.
worry about it.
Okay.
I don't
No, no.
care. I don't care.
We
no,
don't.
no, it's stupid. Don't worry. This is no big deal, and this is taking no time at all, and there it is.
Oh, cool.
But like people rock climb it too. It's kind of cool.
Okay, so you were
So yeah, we're driving away
Wow,
from
that's
there. It's like 7:38, and we get a call from his landlord, and she's like, "Hey, the house that you rented, there's mold and water damage, and it's going to cost $1 billion to fix, and you can't move in." And we're like, trailer full of stuff. That night, we're pulling in to unload, and we're just like, And I was like, I'm fine. I'm flying back. Like, I'll see you later.
Yeah, you like immediately thought about yourself.
Yeah, like I'm good.
Right.
No,
Thankfully, I'm not moving out here.
sucks for you, Dale. But just through a crazy set of awesome circumstances, by the 5 p.m. that day, he had signed another lease on the phone. We were gonna go unload at a way better, way just more awesome for their family house, and it was crazy. I can't imagine. I could not even imagine being in that circumstance. But Dale is king of steadiness, level-headedness, and we got it all done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was awesome. So
it's kind of like this one time that I was on the way to the beach with Dale.
Oh.
And we looked at the reservation for the Airbnb, and it was never booked. So we had the kids and everything, and all these families going to the beach, all the people that moved to Montana, and so we had to book another Airbnb. We were almost there, so we got this tiny little, poor us on the beach condo, whatever, but kind of similar vibe. There's a theme.
There's a certain feeling when the bottom drops out of oh, I don't have a place to stay.
I can just imagine Dale getting off the phone where he's told that he doesn't have a place to live and just being like, well.
I do love that about him.
Yeah, he was a total trooper.
What did he say when he got off the phone?
I think I inferred, and it was probably something along those lines of well, better tell Colby. And I think we tried to we were trying to set some other stuff in motion, make sure that the next few days or even the next month is taken care of, because the landlord offered an Airbnb to keep them for a month. So
okay.
There was a couple, there was some middle ground solutions, and so we were able to have some peace and then move forward and try to find a long-term option. Nice. But yeah, it was successful. Montana's cool. And I was really glad I got to go. Thank you.
Did you go to that coffee shop with the pink linea, perchance?
Yeah, did you have any coffee out there?
I saw the pink linea, but I don't know how to say this. It looked almost like a girly bakery thing. And I was walking past and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I just kept going. Is that a specialty shop? Do you know about it?
I can't remember much about it. I just remember that at Pink Linea. I got coffee there. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I feel like it was also dueled as a bourgeois studio.
Yes. It said that on the front. I was like, oh, well, I'm not going in there.
Wow. And you did go in there?
I went to the coffee shop.
Did you get a session?
Okay, I got a session.
Riley.
Dang.
Okay. Was it awkward?
I didn't get a session. Okay.
I got coffee at a place called Wild. And
with a Y?
I don't know.
Okay.
We can only hope.
I just sensed that.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
They had a cool vibe. Green, paint, plywood, furniture. I love plywood furniture. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
You can.
I love plywood furniture.
It's kind of hard.
Wow,
though.
I actually feel really relieved being able to say that.
Say it
So
again.
glad we could open that. up for
But
you.
yeah, I love plywood furniture. Yeah, it was cool. Great spot. Big space. It was comboed with a store. So I think that'll be those people's spot. So
That's cool.
Hey, why don't we jump into the meat and potatoes of the show?
Wow, we're doing this old style.
Oh, well, maybe it would help if people understood our decision to go from one cafe to roastery to multiple cafes.
yeah, because cart to cafe is a duh, no brainer. Everybody wants a coffee shop. But then what makes you decide, I want another coffee shop? I want to roast my own coffee. Ross, why? Why?
Yeah. Well,
This is all your idea, so.
yeah. Well, it starts with, I guess for us, the main thing that drove us was that we needed to do that. Right? Out of necessity, because the three of us are the owners. And
Owners.
We've said it before on the program, but it's one of the main things that still drives us today and has driven us through every part of the business, that we all wanted to be family men, wife, kids, families.
Check.
The
for
whole
that.
the whole thing. And we also
Yacht owners.
right, so that's why we're in coffee. We also we were cool with this being our careers, for the next epoch.
What is an
Is that like a
epoch?
Star Wars creature, dude?
I thought
Just-
epoch was a hood.
You're going to need to look that up.
All right.
Okay. But the listeners know. We have a very intelligent listenership. anyways, we wanted it to be our career, and we knew that, okay, we're going to have to try to make a serviceable living to support families off of this. And, you just reach a certain point where you do the math and you're like, okay, can one coffee shop support 3 coners? Talking co-owners.
That's right.
And also, like that, it maybe could, but we also, a huge value of ours was we want to be able to give awesome, talented people long-term careers in the coffee industry. Mm-hmm. And what you can infer there is if all 3 of us were managing the cafe, one, that's probably just too many cooks in the kitchen anyways. But if all 3 of us were doing that, then we wouldn't have anything to delegate. It's too simple of an operation to do that. So, maybe you could have done more of the back end marketing, financial side of things that you're doing now. But scaling the company has allowed us to give opportunities to people that want careers in the coffee industry. And we're kind of like still in the phase of growth, kind of putting the cart before the horse, taking on some debt, trying to be positioned in a direction that will lead to a more sustainable financial picture for all of us. But those
7
are some
years later.
Yeah. We'll document the story on the pod. But that's why. That's why we scaled. And for you listening, I know a lot of you are starting coffee shops, you're starting coffee carts. And I think we talked about this in one of the Q&As where we talked about operating agreements and vesting schedules and stuff like that. But one of the most important things you need to do is what is this business what role is it gonna play in my life? Mm-hmm. Because if it's gonna be your career, you'll treat that business differently. You'll scale it differently. You'll put different leaders in different positions accordingly to that. If the business is just gonna be like a side thing, I know a lot of people who they open a coffee shop later in life after they've already been in an established career for a while. And so they're not looking to be the daily manager of the coffee shop. Mm-hmm. They're not looking to grow, multiple cafes, a roastery and a cart and everything. So that's the first thing you need to do is decide, where are we headed? What are my hopes for the next 15 years or so? And once you answer that question, then let's say you answer that question, what are some of the avenues you can take?
On that, I see just it's easy to look at it and say, I'm just one owner, so why do I need to go? It might sound like we're saying, if you're just one owner, keep to one coffee shop because you don't need to go beyond that. But that's where the why for you individually comes in, because even if you are just one owner, maybe you want to have a management staff of 30 people. Obviously, you can't do that with one cafe. So that would be the reason that you would need to scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of one of my thought processes. Was a big motivation or an encouragement too for growth was that vision and mission of Valor to uplift people through coffee and to provide top 1% experience for like service and product. And when I felt after 3 or so years in Alpharetta that we could do that again and replicate that. And I don't know if this is borderline savior complex, sorry, but like share that with another city in another area and like be the same light that we are in Alpharetta to another city. I was like,
I think that's a little selfish, Ethan.
That's a little selfish. And for that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, that is really cool. That is really cool that we can, it's a slow, methodical, next week, move to like make the same impression that we've made in Alpharetta on another city. I'm like, that is a big motivating factor, knowing that if we decide to grow again, it will only be a positive benefit to the community that we are putting a business in.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. That's really great that we're in that line of work, where if we are somewhere, it's like a blessing to a city.
Yeah.
And to people that have been faithfully working at a company that we can like offer growth to. Because I think, as you were saying, like if you're really enjoying someone on your team, they can't really move up into any sort of management role if you got 3 owners kind of crowding the C-suite, if you will,
And the payroll.
if you will.
Yeah.
I will.
Which we've always taken the least amount of money that we possibly can to make the business prosper, because we have the long game in mind. Like when we first started taking money from the company, we all made different amounts of money because our business was so fragile at that point that we were like, how can we just minimize payroll in every way possible, as much as possible? And then, I mean, how long were we in that phase? I feel like it was a long time.
It was probably a year, bro.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the 3 or 4 years before that, we were just making nothing.
Yeah. So it went from 0 to like your wife had a job.
Yeah.
My wife basically didn't because she was in school. And then, so it was like I needed to make a little more than you did. Ethan still didn't make any money because he had another job where he would just come and help on his lunch break, pretty much. And then I think once he started, we all switched to making the same amount of money.
Yeah, and we had to have a tremendous amount of trust in each other and also our aligned vision to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And we did. Like I know we had our dramas at times and our frustrations and all that stuff, and that's all behind us. That would never happen ever again. But we were aligned in our vision, and it was like, we are going to open a cafe, probably multiple cafes. And I don't even know if we were into roasting at that point yet. But let's talk about that. Like, there's a lot of people that I talk to in wholesale or just in the industry that own cafes or run cafes, and they're like, yeah, eventually we'll roast one day. And I wonder if we could either give those people our story and why we decided to do that. Did we think it's worth it? What are some avenues to do that?
Yeah, so that being option 1 for ways to scale is roasting. Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like it makes the most sense for a cafe who's established themselves. They have built a customer base, goodwill in the community, to take that step and say, all right, this product is going to be my own. The reality is and it's kind of the thesis of the coffee industry in general, the upfront cost far outweighs the money you're going to make for the foreseeable future.
Or maybe, quote unquote, save, because that might be some people's mindset is like, if I roast my own coffee, I'll save money.
Exactly. And, maybe that is the truth in a sense, but it's kind of with anything. You have to look at it and say, for us over here, I remember I'm gonna go off for a second.
Uh-oh.
When you're
buckle in
with label printers, okay, if you're talking about, it's funny because that's within the roasting operation, but this is a completely different subject. With label printers, you have $500 label printers, and then the next jump is buying a $2,000 label printer, and then the next jump is buying a $10,000 label printer. And when I ran that math to see, the speed of the $10,000 label printer, like how good it is, how many labels are we going to need to print off of that to make that $10,000 price worth it? And at the time when we were in the market for one, it was going to be years, like 7 years was what it was going to take for it to be worth it to buy that $10,000 label printer. So we bought the $2,000 label printer.
Is it over there?
Yes. And you have to consider those sorts of things with roasting as well. If you're looking at buying a Loring and it's $100,000, and your focus is I want to roast my own coffee, and like that's your framework, then it's going to take you a lifetime
or I want to save
of
money.
Savings, of the savings you're going to have on your individual product to justify that huge expense.
Or on the flip side, maybe you're like, I want to get into roasting so I can roast coffee from my cafe. you take the totally small game, maybe like a 5 kilo Ambex or something, and you can hook it up in your own cafe space or somewhere like kind of off grid. But then you want to get into wholesale and you can't scale at all, and you have to kind of like reset, So knowing what your vision is for why do you want to get into roasting would help you create that picture of how nice and how big of equipment do I want to invest in to make this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always wanted to get into wholesale with our roasting operation. I don't think we ever embraced the mentality of like, let's make our own coffee for our own coffee shop. And the game of wholesale is tough when you're starting off as a roaster. I don't know if we'll get into it today, but just the amount of hours and resources you have to put into it whenever your brand is so small, because brand recognition and wholesale is so important. It's one reason why we're doing this podcast right now, instead of just cold calling people. And I'm not hating on cold calls either, but
why are you hating right now?
Yeah, I'm not. So I just said, but your brand is so small that it takes a while, and it was kind of fine that it took a while for us because we were sharing someone else's roaster. We were toll roasting with another coffee shop. So, we would load up the Honda Civic every week with all the green coffee and roast once or twice a week at someone else's space and pay them per pound or whatever the arrangement was. And so the margin is worse, but hey, at least you have a coffee brand that is going to take time to build, but you can do that because you don't have all this money tied up in assets like a roaster or like overhead, like the roastery. You're just using someone else's space. So I think the way we went about it is the way that I would recommend for most people. If you really want to get into roasting, then I would recommend renting space, renting the roaster. Heck, even getting the people that work at that roastery to roast the coffee for you. Just put your brand on it. As you learn how to roast, pay the roaster at that place to teach you how to roast. How I remember like when we first started roasting, we were debating like who's going to be the roasting guy, and we were trying to figure out what are our roles going to be for the next however many years. And I remember you guys went to Charleston to one of our green importers, Balzac Brothers, to learn how to roast on what roaster did they have? Probat, which was similar to what we were roasting on at the time. But you need to pick the person that's going to head that up, and that ended up being you, Riley. So do you have it all goes back to what the owners want to do. Do you want to get into roasting? Because it's probably not a good idea to like hire some expensive roaster to roast it for you. Mm-hmm. You'll probably have to learn it yourself because the margin's just not there.
Yeah, and then the how beyond that, like you were saying, wholesale is a hard game because your competitors, it's just like anything. Why doesn't a guy in his garage start a car company? Because like his competition far outweighs him, So your competitors, even just in the specialty coffee market, have so much vastly more money than you do to market their product, to show face to coffee shops around the country, to set up training labs in every city that you just simply aren't going to have. So if you are going to choose that path, then it's not, trust us, we know from experience, it's not going to work for you just to send samples to people. It's going to fail because you're going to have a white label bag, like a white bag with a label on it. You're going to send samples. Even if the coffee's pretty good, that on the shelf next to this roaster's Onyx box, it's just not going to happen for you. So that's where if you are going to go on that trajectory, you have to really press into the relational side of things. And, in your community, who are the people that you're friends with who own other coffee shops and restaurants and so on and so forth, who might want to serve your product and help you, kickstart with a little bit of volume.
Yeah, and relationships are such a long play too, because if you're starting a relationship for wholesale purposes, it's just A, not going to pan
Yeah.
out, and then B, a lot of your relationships don't need that. So we ate a lot of slices of humble pie. I remember in our first times thinking about projections and how much we're gonna wholesale and who's gonna wholesale. We're making lists. We're oh yeah, they're gonna use our coffee. Oh, these people, yeah, they're gonna use our coffee. And then you send the samples, and I haven't heard back from them. Maybe the package got lost in shipment or something. But yeah, I mean, it does just kind of take a long time to get better, is because that's a big part of it. Is that we just got better at roasting coffee, buying coffee, sourcing coffee, and then developing our profiles, developing our brand identity. And then along those years, because we're in the community and we're working, we're just also building relationships. And so, years after we've started roasting is when we're seeing some fruit of oh yeah, we've known this person for years. Oh, they're doing a thing and they want to use our coffee. That's great, But it's usually not right out of the gate. So that's where a good point you said is, maybe don't just hire a $70,000 a year roaster to run your roasting program
Or salesperson.
because it's going to take some years to get off the ground.
Yep.
Or it's a little faster.
And in
That's
the
awesome.
beginning, your cafe is going to be the best lead generator you have.
Yeah, that's so true. Your cafe is definitely your ambassador for that coffee, and
Yeah.
you're putting it on display for probably hundreds of people a day. So making sure that whatever's happening in the cafe is happening at a premium tier, an S tier, if you will, is very, very important.
Another thing about the roasting side of things is you've got your wholesale side of your roasting operation, and you've got your direct-to-consumer e-commerce side of your operation. And the margin when we sell one bag of free throw online, direct-to-consumer, our margin on that is way better than if we sold, let's just keep it for round numbers, one bag to a wholesale customer, because the wholesale customer obviously is going to mark that up and sell it again, so they have to buy it at a cheaper price. You're selling less units overall. You're selling less of cheaper units overall to e-commerce customers, but you're making a better profit margin. And then with wholesale, it's harder to get that customer, and you're selling more product, so you're going to have a higher gross spend per transaction, but the margin is way worse. So you weigh all of that, and you're like, okay, it's harder to acquire a wholesale customer. It's easier to acquire an e-commerce customer, but in the profit margin's better with e-commerce, but we're making less overall, so we got to get a lot of them. So you got the balance of those two things. And I think the thing we've learned overall is just invest your energy into making a good brand identity and good relationships. And that takes you a long way, even before you get into sales or anything like that.
Yeah, those are great things to consider when considering roasting. How about the consideration of opening cafe number 2 for some people?
Yeah, well, I think this is where you get into how many times have we gone to someone's second or third or fifth location and it just kind of sucks. Mm-hmm. It's not inspiring. There's not much of a culture there. And yeah, they've maybe got good branding and good visuals, but that's kind of it. Maybe the product is pretty good.
They had a little more money to do the build out than last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was our biggest fear, worst potential nightmare with opening our second cafe is okay, we have more money to spend on the build out this time. It's going to be a bigger space. We're going to have a mod bar instead of a used espresso machine in our first cafe. but is it still going to be magical?
Yeah.
And is it still going to make people feel the way that Alpharetta, our first location, makes them feel? And so that's where you get into like, how do you bottle up what you did in your first location and replicate that or scale it? Mm-hmm. And we talk about it all the time, but having a framework for your culture, AKA mission, vision, and values, those are the framework of our culture. Meaning a culture is an intangible thing based off of people and their temperaments and behaviors and leadership styles and all these things. But how do you hire people, and how do you onboard people, and how do you sustain those employees while turnover is happening? So you got new people coming through all the time. How do you push all of those moving variables in one direction called, culture, like where you want to be? Mm-hmm. And that's mission, vision, and values. That's how we communicate these intangible things that we value and make us who we are. And so I think if you don't have that, it's going to be really hard to make your second cafe or your third cafe or however many good.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, your cafe will always just be a representation of who's the leader and who are the people that work there. Because it doesn't matter if you have a nice espresso machine. It doesn't matter if you have nice fancy coffee. It doesn't matter if your build out looks good. The people are what run all of that. 100%. They will mess up your good coffee, though they won't clean your espresso machine, and they won't mop. So all the cool things that you did as an owner with good intentions all ride on the backs of people. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the framework to inspire those people, to hire the right people, to fire the people that don't need to be there, then it won't go anywhere. So, and let alone like you have to lead by example too. You have to keep the framework of your culture, your mission, vision, and values more than anyone. So we've struggled with that over the years, and I feel like it's one of our stronger things that we have.
Culture.
Yeah. We're not perfect at it, but
we fight really hard to maintain it. And
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, is if you don't take it seriously, then it will fall to the wayside,
Yeah. Do you think that just like mediocre specialty coffee shops that kind of have like a blah culture can make it? Like, what if you just didn't care that much about culture and you had money and you had fancy coffee?
Do we want to speak perfectly candidly on this podcast?
Ideally.
I want to be dishonest. I'm kidding.
Look at Revelator, man. They had all the money in the world and the reach to buy other companies and create insanely beautiful cafes.
Yeah.
But when that's what you ride on and you don't bring any other substantial, because that's the thing. It's all about what value do you bring to customers. I hate to get just like super basic marketing here, but if you aren't bringing value to your customers other than just another coffee shop across the street from another coffee shop, then what do you expect,
Yeah. Well, I think this is a devil's advocate point because I literally just made this opposite point. But the value that they or someone like them could bring is like a nice space with nice seats.
Yeah.
And it all looks cool. Mm-hmm. And the baristas aren't nice, but the coffee's going to taste like kind of good. And they've got outlets and Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. So like,
but as soon as there's another place across the street that has all of that as well, plus baristas that are kind of nice,
yeah,
then
yeah, I guess those kinds of places just,
especially because even when you have all that money, you also have the amount of money to look at an operation and be like, this isn't viable. We're just going to close it down. Mm-hmm. Because that's all coffee shops, for being real.
What do you mean?
Like $500,000 for build out costs, which is realistically what a lot of people should expect on a 2,000 square foot space. That isn't going to be completely bootstrapped and is going to be like kind of nice. $500,000 for $1 million in top line revenue in a year is not good numbers at all. That is a really, really bad, I don't know what you want to call it, cost to income ratio or whatever. Like, if $1 million, that would be a busy, like, that's a busy cafe, $1 million a year. $1 million a year in top line revenue, chop that all down, call it 15% net profit if you're doing really good in your first year. That's $150,000. $150,000 profit in your first year for $500,000 in build out costs means you're not recouping for like over 3 years. And in terms of business strategy, those are like really poor numbers. So I've been pretty convicted about this lately. You got to like really love the coffee industry to get into the coffee industry.
That's where passion comes in.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be passionate about specialty coffee because it's amazing.
I'm not saying you can't do a coffee shop for $100,000. I'm going to say it's near impossible.
You mean like build out?
Yeah. Like, 2019, we built out a coffee shop for 120. I'll call it 120 to 150 because we had so much gear from our cart that we used.
Yeah.
So, today I would say it's nearly impossible to get under 200. But even still, like talking about that framework, if you can build out a coffee shop for $200,000 and make $1 million in your first year, then sure, go for it. You're getting close to recouping cost to open in a year.
But doing $1 million your first year is highly unlikely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe if you're in Times Square.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to our friend Jennings, wholesale manager now at Methodical, and he was talking about the change in expectation in the coffee industry, and I really do see it starting to turn a tide of, you had the third wave, which is like, does this place have good coffee? And we've heard Cat and Cloud and other people talking about this fourth wave of like coffee and service. I think that's really starting to become the metric, is like, do people treat you well at a space? And it's like a really funny low bar that we've been like blown out of the water for a long time. But I think it's cool that it's starting to catch up, and it's like, not only is it good coffee and is it good service, but like, what makes you special, or how are you innovating the industry? And I think your point is pretty valid, and like, you can have all the bells and whistles, but at some point someone's going to come along and just do something better.
Maybe in the beginning of the third wave, it would have worked, or it did work.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. But no, I mean, what you're saying with the multi-cafe process is like, all you're doing is creating a lot more overhead, And if you're not very confident in your model, that's going to fall on your head. That's a business term.
And back,
Fall on your head.
You're going to fall on your head.
Back to what the owners want and their vision, their personal vision for what they want in their work. Like, Ethan, your role has changed a lot since we've grown, right? So, like, when we had one cafe, you were the daily ops main leader, called head coach. And
COO, yeah.
Sure. Can we just take a quick pit stop here? The whole like CEO, CFO, COO, I feel like people love to take those titles in really small companies, and I don't think it's damaging to anyone if they take them. But isn't it like the whole name of like chief executive officer, that like there's like other executive officers and you're the chief of
over them,
the board,
Yeah.
Like the chief financial, and so you have like a whole financial department under you. And
don't call yourself the CEO if your company has less than 50 people. That's kind of my metric.
I just think it's funny, and I know what people are trying to do. They're trying to like
legitimize.
Yeah, I love it, but it's just funny. Anyways, so your role has gone from like the daily ops of 44 Milton and Alpharetta to like, we've established leaders there. We've got head coach and we have operations coordinator that run that cafe. And then same in Dunwoody, we have a head coach and operations coordinator, basically just manager and assistant manager over there. And your new job is to lead those leaders. And that's what scaling sometimes, most of the time, needs to look like. Is like and we fought this, right? So like, Ethan, you're way more inclined to just do the work that needs to be done that you see in front of you.
Yep.
And that's one of your best traits. You've been in the retail side of the company since we started, because that is also just where you shine. You're moving into this role where your job is no longer to run cafes. Your job is to inspire leaders to run cafes that you're not running, because someone's got to be there for those leaders.
Yep.
And that's something we've talked about for years and years. So this is a long lead up to that point that we're at now. But you should consider that. Like,
Is that something I want to be doing?
right. Yeah. And
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, sure.
we've talked about it a lot in our situation, but I'm saying for listeners, if you want to scale, do you really, because if you have 2 or 3 cafes, you're probably just going to be doing computer work, man. Like a lot of the time. You're probably going to be mostly just, like less hands-on. And is that enticing for you?
Or is the reason you're starting a coffee shop is because you want to be at your coffee shop working?
Yeah.
That's fine if you do.
And that's great.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of businesses stay.
You've kind of said that, like, you kind of want to do that sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. It's a awesome space to be in. And there's a way to like lead from the front lines. But when you have multiple entities, the most helpful thing for me isn't just to like go make coffee at both cafes all day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think we might be sounding very negative towards scaling in this program, but clearly we have scaled our business some. And the point being, it can work and it can make you more money overall, because that's why we have done it. Because there comes a threshold. We're talking about our willingness to take less money so that the company can be better structured in the long run.
Yeah.
There comes we can't be doing that until we're 40 years old. Like there comes a point, and we're getting there largely right now. I think like I just saw a metric is like 99% of Americans can't afford a house right now. And like we're all feeling that, because like, we're in technical terms for our roles in a company of this size probably underpaid, but like we've made that bed because of the things we're trying to put in place as we move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So answering the question, are we going to become the next Starbucks? Like people ask that all the time, right, Ethan? And
Dude, they do all the time.
No,
What is their average age? when they ask
Stop.
that?
It could be young, old. It could be a
I'm gonna
3-year-old.
guess 47 is the average age.
Well, the whole perception is like, gosh,
I guess it is all my Frisbee friends. All right, fine.
right.
But they're in their 30s.
oh, gosh, I saw Valor at Whole Foods, and you guys had a line out the door, and man, Valor's everywhere. Valor's popping. I even saw it on my vacation in who knows where.
And people
they
vacation that way Whole so far.
must be everywhere, and
I was in Dallas, Georgia. I did hear that yesterday. I was in Dallas,
Hey,
Georgia.
there you go.
The best coffee shop in Dallas, Georgia. Good place.
good stuff.
Good stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Best place. I'm sorry.
She said good place.
Yeah, I know.
That's fine.
Say
Where was I
good
going with
stuff
that?
a
Okay,
moment ago.
yeah, but the thing we've always said is we will grow as big and as fast as we possibly can while maintaining our mission, vision, and values. So that's a huge caveat. Like, it sounds funny to be like, let's grow as big and fast as we possibly can. That's what we want to do, as long as we are maintaining our mission, vision, and values. Because our mission, vision, and values, the framework for our culture, is what got us to where we are today and is what will continue to sustain us no matter how big we get.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the economy super matters too. Like,
One of the places we were looking at, cafe number 2 being at, Ethan sends an article yesterday, and it's just like every bit of that landlord's stuff is being foreclosed upon.
Yeah.
And we were like, all right.
Glad that didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. So the economy matters, and the changing tide in construction and build out costs. Like I don't know if I guess I'll say it. We could not open another cafe right now, even if we wanted to, because of
I mean, maybe we could. It just wouldn't be wise.
like because of the economy, because of how expensive it is, because of how quickly that all happened. We have no choice but to hunker down on what we already have.
Yeah.
And that is us growing as big and fast as we possibly can while maintaining our mission, vision, and values.
Yeah, and I don't want to stay on the negative side too much, but I think we've talked about this a little bit, but coffee really is a like commodity luxury for the community. And so a lot of times I feel like it takes sorry, getting choked up. It takes like a real estate developer or like a building owner to like really subsidize or like want a coffee shop to be somewhere to like make that happen. You know, coffee shops don't often play like the high roller, big anchor, big dog tenant in a space. It's like, okay, we got this awesome restaurant, we got this real estate office, we got
a little coffee
law
shop,
firm, and then like, can we just like give a little slice to a coffee shop so everybody can get
600
coffee?
square feet.
They don't need much, and
Dude, the amount of times we got pitched that.
and it's kind of legit because like that's what we can afford. Then we look at the numbers and we're like, oh, can you help us out on TI even more?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Like, can you get TI to move closer to where our cafe is at? You know?
Yeah, like where is TI and how can we get them in our cafes?
Like Rubber Band Man,
Yeah.
Ti. Yeah.
So there is just like I think that's still, it doesn't make it illegitimate business and it can still be a viable model. I think when you're considering scaling, you do really have to just know what you're getting into and be like, is this, just because we're going to start making more money in total, does that mean the bottom line or like the final net profit, is that going to be any bigger? Or is it like we just have more overhead and more stuff? But I will say I have been pleasantly surprised with having a second cafe, how there hasn't been a lot of like, oh, I'm here and I have to go here, and oh, there's this, like there's problems everywhere, I don't know where to go. And I think that's in credit to a couple things. We have an amazing team, amazing leadership, and I think we learned a lot and applied a lot that we learned to our second cafe through buying better equipment, better layout, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Because we had some like crazy stuff go wrong in our first cafe.
Like all the time.
And we've only had like mid-level crazy stuff go wrong. Some occasional flooding, nothing crazy.
Yeah. Some occasional power outages.
Occasional.
It's all occasional. I think that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
I like that.
I'll just leave that there.
Oh, The Good Place is the TV show.
Yeah, you
That's
love
why
that. Yeah.
I
You're
was thinking
binging
about
that last
Kristen
night.
Bell and who's it? Oh, I was going to say Paul Dano. What's that guy's name?
Dak Shepard.
No.
Ted Danson.
Ted Danson. Thank you.
Ted Danson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know, man.
You're always talking about Cheers, and you don't know Ted Danson.
Yeah, like we're like Cheers.
I know like the concept of Cheers, like the epoch.
I've heard
that-
you talk more about Cheers than anyone else I know,
and I don't even talk about it.
and you
that
don't
much.
even know who Ted Danson is.
Now you're going to tell me you don't know about Frasier.
I don't know anything about Frasier
I don't know anything about these
or
either.
anyone named Frasier.
Guys,
All right.
are we going to move on to our
Coffee review.
coffee review?
Yes, we are. The coffee that we haven't said anything about this whole time.
Well, it's because we were so nervous to talk about it.
Oh,
Because it's so crazy.
We got this coffee from one of our awesome wholesale partners.
if you want to send us coffee, send us coffee.
Yeah, we need more coffee.
Yeah, we have this coffee review segment.
All right.
Info at valor.coffee or at Valor Coffee Pod on Instagram, and we'll send you our address.
Yep. Yes. So the brand is Servant Coffee. Got a little, what is that? A ram,
bighorn?
a sheep,
Matterhorn?
a goat on the little logo here.
On a mountain peak.
Yep. From Denver. Solid bag.
This on that.
Thank you, Zach McClenathan. Aviator Coffee.
Is there a QR code?
Yeah, any QR code. There's some nice some texture on the side there.
There's some
g-
texture,
gold
some-
foiling.
Some
You got to pay for that.
Hey, that costs money, yo. We're drinking the Flourish Craft Blend. I will say, for our bougie standards, I'm a little on edge because they didn't put the coffee on there.
Ooh,
I'm on
interesting.
edge.
But maybe if you go to their website, it would break down what's in it.
I'll attempt.
If you do that, it would be really fun to have us guess what it is, because we've been drinking this coffee for the last hour. I like the consistent coloring. You just have that like copper and dark blue color.
It looks like they paid a branding agency. It's giving branding agency vibes.
And does it initial who roasted it? M.A.?
Yeah, I like that. Personal
I like-
touch.
yeah.
They do have a gold Sharpie.
No dice.
No, there's dice. I want you guys to take a guess at what this two bean blend is.
Do we?
I mean,
is there an Ethiopia in there?
Yes.
I watched Ethiopia.
I'm not going to say. You have to guess. You
Well,
have
I'm
give
gonna
me a
guess a
final
washed Ethiopia and a Burundi.
Okay.
Washed Ethiopia and washed Ethiopia.
You're the closest.
Oh,
Natural Ethiopia, natural Ethiopia.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be honest. I wasn't getting a lot of
Natty.
Bro.
action.
They have a recipe section on their website, and it says EK43 grinder setting,
Whoa.
which is such an arbitrary number to give
Hey.
someone. But it's 0.5, just so you know.
Well, I did
espresso?
0.1, and it still kind of gushed, but
Case
19 in, 52
point.
to 53 grams out, and 32 to 33 seconds is what
And
it is.
water.
How did
Water
they
is so
calibrate like
different.
that? I was doing a
I don't know.
19
Maybe
gram dose.
they've got like Burlock on.
Yeah, wow.
Like
Zero.
BL.
They got BL on that.
All right, how about content on this packaging?
Name, title. What do we rank it? You
Is
want me
this
to
out
read?
of
I'll
10?
read the back.
Okay.
Serving Coffee is passionate about our coffee and who it serves. From coffee farms to your living room, we value every connection along the way. Our inspired belief is that when we serve each other well, all of our lives are enriched. Let us serve you.
Wow.
We will. Thank you for serving us.
All right. Content out of 10. 1, 2, 3, 5.
2, Ross.
3.5.
You went straight sav, dog.
Yeah, it doesn't say what the coffee is.
Does that hurt your feelings?
I just don't feel seen.
You don't feel seen?
No, I just need a origin country at least on there.
Agreed.
I like that it says Denver roasted. We're always fans of that.
I do like that.
The bottom says, what does it say?
If serving others is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you.
Yep. I like the message. Don't like the off-topic nature of that statement on a coffee bag, but
Well, their name's servant.
that's true. But it's a statement about leadership and coffee. You know.
I hear you. Hey, man. All right, what's next?
Ooh, next up we have aesthetic.
Aesthetic.
Out of 10.
Out of 10.
All right. 1, 2, 3,
6.
6.
Hey, calibrated.
Dialed.
What's not calibrated is this camera that just shut off because I never plugged it in.
Ooh.
Hold.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
UX out of 5. 1, 2, 3, 5.
5. Perfect UX.
I mean, it's
It worked. I mean,
safe.
the bag worked, man. No problems.
Yeah. It's great.
Dude, did you watch the coffee review of the last week's?
No, I didn't make it that far.
You gotta. It's the highest scoring coffee we've ever done.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. I think because we were talking about it.
Yeah, right. How about the crunch? Let's get some beans in our mouth. ASMR, baby. Wait, we need two. Just 2 anonymous beans. That one looks like
I'll do 3 just in case. I think
looks like some scorching there. Tipping. Ready? All right, crunch
Oh.
out of 5. 1, 2, 3, 1.
2.
All right, 1.5. Doesn't taste like the coffee.
Yeah. Well, actually, how about in the back end?
You want to go 3 then?
Do 3. Come on.
Okay. Flavor out of 10.
Flavor is objective.
Yeah, just the quality of the flavor, I suppose.
1, 2, 3,
5.
6. That was good coffee.
Good coffee, simple.
It was better on espresso. I don't know. Did you feel like anything was off when you were making the pour over?
No, I did it perfect.
Oh, right. Yeah.
No, I think it was a good pour over. There's not much complexity to this coffee, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah,
The cappuccino was good,
cappuccino was good.
which is kind of fun. I was thinking about it while we were making this, that we used to hold the philosophy that fruity, floral, lighter coffees are bad with milk. Like, and maybe that was just more me. And I would like say that if someone wanted a funky espresso in a milk drink. But doing this coffee review over and over again, if it's the right, like bright, light coffee, it's great. It's just different.
I remember the first fruity cappuccino I ever had was at Methodical Coffee in Greenville.
Dude, save it for next week.
Yeah,
Stop talking.
Sorry, thank you.
All right, move on.
Enjoyability out of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4.
7.
6?
Sure, 6.
Yeah,
I mainly
yeah.
gave that because the cappuccino was good.
Yeah, the espresso was pretty good. And then, yeah, I mean, maybe we should just try some different recipes or something while we're finished working through this bag. But the way it showed up in the pour over was just a little, not a lot of
Flat.
action, a little flat. But
Which I need pop out of a 2-bean
Natty.
Ethiopia natty blend.
All right, 28 out of 50.
All right. Thank you, Zach,
thank you, Zach.
and Servant Coffee.
Still, I'd say an above average,
Oh, yeah.
good, easy drinking coffee.
Serviceable.
We'll be brewing this coffee again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to see what we can get out of it on the. We'll try a different brewing device, maybe the next level Pulsar.
Maybe.
Thank you guys again. We're honored to do this.
Yeah, send us coffee. We'll take it.
Send us coffee. Send us questions. Send us.
Good
Love,
vibes.
Hugs.
If you send me like a shirt, I'll wear it. You know.
Oh, yeah.
New
Send us
segment.
shirts.
That's a promise. Any shirt someone sends, if you've made it this far in the program,
Like if you know those bumper stickers of like the kid peeing on stuff. Like if someone sent you a
If
shirt
it
with
is,
that.
if it is not like vulgar or hyper political,
no, too late. You already
No,
said if you send me a shirt, I'll wear it.
You promised.
I wonder if they have shirts of like Trump and Biden like in a boxing match. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
there's no like political affiliation with that. It's just like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Trump and Biden fighting.
Yeah, maybe like caricatures of them. I'd do that.
Okay.
Yeah, like pro the democratic election process.
Yeah, just like, hey.
Well, I mean that's a stance.
Well, that's also pro
That's
the
a stance.
two-party system.
Yeah.
And I don't think
You're
I'm
just
very
saying
pro
you
the
love
two-party
the two-party system.
You can't.
Maybe,
Wow.
maybe it'd be like more of a mob fight in the ring, and like Jill Stein's there for the Green Party. who's a libertarian?
What was that guy? Gary
Johnson.
Gary
Gary
Johnson.
Johnson.
My wife
there.
voted for him.
Rand
Yep.
Paul.
Rand Paul's there. Ron Paul.
They're all just in a boxing match.
Everybody's like, "Arr." Bernie
Okay.
is like suplexing from the ceiling.
It's like a Marvel poster.
Yeah.
We could make some money off that.
Dude,
Well,
yeah,
someone-
We should make a Marvel poster of coffee figures.
Like
who
who
is
would be on it?
that?
Who's Thanos?
Who's that? Starbucks, dude.
I was thinking more along the lines of like James Hoffman, etc.
But they're the good guys, like Matt Perger and James Hoffman. Those are like the Iron Man and Captain America of the group, and then it kind of splits from there. We're around.
We need people in the coffee industry to put on some more muscle to
Yeah, that's true.
to make an Avengers.
What's up with that? That's our next podcast episode. Is like,
bulking up the coffee industry.
dude, I saw the most niche crap I have ever seen recently. I don't know if I told you guys about it, but it was like someone. It's funny because I know what they're trying to do something good, and niche content is a good thing. But it was this video that was like hip mobility for coffee roasters. And I was
What?
like, that is the single.
Oh, like here's exercises you can do.
I was like, that is the single most niche video of any topic I've ever seen.
I think a video about hip mobility in general would already be niche.
It might not have been. I think it was hip mobility. It might not have been, but even just like workouts for coffee roasters.
What was
is
the
a very
premise?
niche?
Like for lifting coffee bags?
Yeah,
I
So-
thought, oh, wow.
What was the premise?
I didn't watch
Can
the
you do
video.
them?
I
Could
just
you do the
saw
ex-
it.
You just saw the video, but you
Yeah.
didn't watch it.
On
Yeah.
what site? Were you on ClickClock or something?
Another
You on True
roaster.
Social?
Another roaster posted it on their Instagram.
You on
story.
Rumble?
About how it was funny?
No,
Were you on Bumble?
Like, this is cool.
I think it was a collaborative thing that they did with this person. And again, I get it, and I think it's cool. I just think it's extremely, extremely niche. And I had to screenshot it and put it on my close friends and be like, I just said this is the most niche content I've ever seen
Wow.
because
Yeah.
it's true.
Well, I say if you want, a workout while you're roasting coffee, just drop down and do some push-ups.
You're a big push-up
But
guy.
then your hands get dirty.
You got to wash them.
Well, you could put on gloves.
Put on a new set of gloves every time you do push-ups.
There's lots of options here that we could explore for the rest of this program. I mean,
you get some adjustable dumbbells over there next to the
no.
roaster.
I got these things at Goodwill where like the
We're done.
the rotating
We're done.
like rotating push-up handles.
Oh, yeah.
So you could get those, disinfect them,
Oh, there you go.
and just use that for your
Yep.
push-ups.
Perfect.
That way you wouldn't have to wash your hands after.
Guys, what's your disinfectant of choice?
Well, I don't like. We have a clean household because my wife's super crunchy.
Right.
So I guess like thieves.
Dude, we're going to sell
Tough break.
a push-up turning kit with thieves and reusable gloves.
Bro, I've got Mr. Clean disinfectant.
See,
I do
there you
not
go.
have a clean household,
Dude,
but I do have a clean household because that shit like kills all
Dude,
the
it's
bacteria.
called Mr. Clean, bruh.
Dude,
Yeah.
I got bleach and I'm just like,
Put it on everything.
I put bleach on everything, dude.
Dude, how's that working for you?
Yeah.
All right, this is going off the rails. See the bonus episode for the continuation of this. I'm just kidding. Thanks for listening. We love you guys.
Bye.
Love you.